So let's get things started.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone online. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's a great honor to receive the Friede-Gard-Prize for Sustainable Economics this year. I'd like to begin by expressing my heartfelt thanks to Gerd Schuster of the Foundation, Dr. Dirk Rohr, Dr. Klaus Herring, and Stefan Stamm for hosting and organizing this event. I'm also deeply grateful to Professor Steve Keen and Professor Joseph Hoover for their generous introduction to my work on money and macroeconomic modeling. As described on the Foundation website, this award has recognized my scientific contribution to sustainable economics as the public money system. I was very pleased that public money system has openly received a social recognition in this way. Accordingly, my presentation today traces the evolution of my research on public money in two parts. Part 1 explains how the idea of public money emerged through my academic research of stage 1 through 4. Part 2 explores why we need a paradigm shift in economics from debt money to public money system through stage 5 through 7. So let us begin with the first stage, unifying the battle of ideas in economics. By the way, this slide prepared for the general audience, so I try to avoid all technical presentation in this lecture. By chance, my graduate studies in Japan started under the supervision of Professor Nobuo Okishio, an internationally renowned mathematical economist in Marxian labor theory of value. In those days, our world economy was split into three struggling camps: communism, capitalism, and socialism. I believe these struggles were based on three different battles of ideas in economics. Indeed, economics were divided into competing schools: Marxian, neoclassical, and Keynesian. Therefore, if we could integrate them, we could attain world peace, I believed. This belief became my motivation during my graduate studies at the University of California, Berkeley. In Berkeley, I joined Dubru's mathematical economics seminar to study neoclassical theory of general equilibrium, known as Arrow-Dubru models. Both of them received Nobel Prize in economics. Simultaneously, I learned Keynesian economics from macroeconomic professors, including Professor George Akerlof. He served as one of my PhD thesis advisors. He received Nobel Prize in economics in 2001 after I left Berkeley. His wife, Janet Yellen, a young assistant professor at that time, later served as the chair of the Federal Reserve System. Under these excellent academic environment, my challenge in Berkeley to integrate these three schools of thought continued. This unification challenge was made possible by combining two different concepts of time, that is, historical time by Keynesian and Marxian theories, and logical time by neoclassical theories. In this way, I have successfully constructed a unified economic model as my PhD thesis. My thesis was later published as Beyond Wallace, Keynes, and Marx: Synthesis in Economic Thought Toward New Social Design. I called this new design integrated economy, Muratopia economy. Mura implies green village. Stage 2, Future Studies, Sustainability and System Dynamics. At this stage of my research, I gradually lost interest in economics and by chance encountered the futures study while teaching at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Future study guided me into the concept of sustainability and another new field of study called system dynamics, a field founded by Professor J. Forrester at MIT. Forrester created the world model for the club of Rome, which later evolved into the famous report called The Limit to Growth. It was co-authored by one of his students, Jürgen Landers, who by coincidence received this Friede-Gard-Prize in 2023, 2 years ago. Through system dynamics research, I have redesigned long-term sustainability in terms of physical, social, and ecological reproducibility. Stage 3, accounting system dynamics and macroeconomic modeling. Through the study of system dynamics, I gradually recognized the importance to combine two intellectual achievements, accounting system and system dynamics. First, double-entry bookkeeping was formalized by Luca Pacioli in his mathematics book called Summa, published in 1494. It is said that without the invention of accounting system method, social and economic development would not have been attained to the present days. Accounting system indeed has become the foundation of social science. Secondly, differential equation was developed by Isaac Newton to describe physical dynamic motions in nature. Professor J. Forrester at MIT invented computational algorithm to solve differential equation numerically in 1950s. He called this method system dynamics. In this way, differential equation by Newton and system dynamics by Forrester have become the foundation of natural science. By integrating bookkeeping method of social science and system dynamics of natural science, I have developed a unified modeling method called accounting system dynamics, ASD. This integration approach has become one of the most robust modeling methods, I believe, for analyzing complex and dynamic economic systems. Let us take a quick look at ASD method. System dynamics modeling is constructed as a combination of stock and flow diagram. On the other hand, accounting system consists of financial statements such as balance sheet and income statement. ASD modeling creates a living representation of economic activities by combining these two methods, system dynamics and accounting system. We'll explore more details of this integration method in my following seminar. Okay. This ASD modeling method was presented at the 2003 System Dynamics Conference in New York under the title of Principles of Accounting System Dynamics, Modeling Corporate Financial Statement. This modeling method rekindled my academic interest and passion of economics once again. This time, it's specifically money and macroeconomics. I have started building a series of monetary and macroeconomic models step by step. Professor J. Forrester has already developed his macroeconomic models called national models using system dynamics. Accordingly, in 2005, I visited Professor J. Forrester at MIT to find out if my ASD-based macroeconomic modeling were indeed original and distinct from his own national models. He convinced the originality of my approach. Taking 5 years of my research, my journey to construct ASD macroeconomic model was completed in 2008 at the SD conference in Athens, Greece. Stage 4, Modeling American Monetary Act and the Birth of Public Money. The financial crisis of 2008, the so-called Lehman shock, shook the world economy. It also challenged me if my modeling method could explain root causes of such economic crisis. I started searching for its causes online, and by chance encountered the book The Lost Science of Money, written by Stefan Zalenga, an economic historian and founder of the American Monetary Institute. I learned from the book that during the Great Depression in 1930s, leading economists such as Irving Fisher and Henry Simons proposed the Chicago Plan to prevent such depressions. Unfortunately, the proposal of the Chicago Plan failed to be implemented. Instead, as its partial version, the Banking Act of 1933 was established as Glass-Steagall Act. In short, from the Great Depression, economists learned two lessons. First, Keynes' general theory, which shaped mainstream macroeconomics later on to this day. Second, Fisher's 100% money, which has been made a taboo subject, unfortunately, in economics up to this day. So Fisher's lessons totally disappeared from the economics teaching as a science. So that was a historical fact we have to recognize all the time. Zalenga and American Monetary Institute have revived the Chicago Plan of 1930s by proposing the American Monetary Act as a modern version of the monetary reform. It proposed three monetary reforms. 1. Government issue money. 2. Abolish credit creation with 100% fractional reserve. 3. Define money as a public utility. Under such a system, money would circulate debt-free, supporting public welfare and sustainable growth. Convinced by the logic of American Monetary Act, I started modeling the American Monetary Act using ASD modeling method. At the System Dynamics Conference in Washington, D.C., I have introduced the term public money system for the first time in academic research. Concerning the naming of the public money, at the AMI conference, various names to describe this new monetary concept were suggested, such as instead of public money, I would suggest to use debt-free money, interest-free money, government-issued money, treasury-issued money, sovereign money, national money, state money, etc. Among those candidates, I have selected the public money because it can describe public concept of money against private and debt-based concept of money. Therefore, public money system could cover many different types of public organizations that issued money at interest-free through history. So this is the story of the birth of public money. The main purpose of developing the ASD model of the American Monetary Act is to show how easy national debt can be liquidated. At the time of the publication paper in 2011, the US economy was already burdened by massive national debt as illustrated in the diagram. My simulation shows that under the debt money system, US national debt could continue to expand at the growth rate of 9% annually. I calculate 9% growth is observed to estimate the American debt accumulations. This prediction turned out to be accurate 15 years later in 2015, this year, as illustrated in the right diagram. This implies that my solution presented 15 years ago may be still effective for solving the US national debt today. So, as
effective for solving the US national debt today. Check it out.
sorry. So as discussed above, main goal of my model was to test if US national debt could be eliminated under the public money system. The essential point of this modeling is the following. First, under the debt money system, whenever government borrow money, it is booked as a liabilities. On the other hand, if we issue public money, it is booked as equity. So those are very essential difference between public and debt money. On July 26, 2011, I was invited to present my simulation result at the US congressional briefing alongside Stefan Zarenga. For this briefing, I had summarized the simulation result as one-page handout of 10 items. This is one-page handout to summarize my simulation result. I pointed out that under the debt money, US government sooner or later faces one of the three scenarios: default, financial meltdown, or hyperinflation. Yet, debt liquidation under the debt money inevitably trigger recession and unemployment. Many present governments are trying to solve the debt accumulation under the debt money system. So that sooner or later triggers recession and unemployment, according to my simulation. That is, the current debt money system is indeed dead end. The public money system, such as American Monetary Act, on the other hand, could resolve these issues without recession, unemployment, and inflation, according to my simulation result. And Congressman Dennis Kucinich introduced NEED Act, which stands for National Emergency Employment Defense Act, as American Monetary Act to the Congress in the following September, but it turned out to be unsuccessful. Half a year later, after the congressional briefing, a student in my macroeconomic class told me in person that the Club of Rome published a report of criticizing the Chicago plan and my models. Without losing time, I have obtained the book, which is edited by Dieter. It precisely summarizes our congressional briefing on page 129 as follows. So this book summarizes my one-page handout precisely. I continue to read this report to find a shocking paragraph on page 130 as follows. To quote, "Any version of the Chicago plan will be fought to the death by the banking system. because it threatens both its power base and its business model. Even after the excesses triggering the 2007 and 8 collapses, or in the middle of the Great Depression of the 1930s, the banking lobby managed to deflect the implementation of any significant changes. Recall that in 2010, for the elected officials in Washington, there were 3 high-level lobbyists working full-time for the banking system. So that is the political reality dominating our world economy now. A couple months later, I was suddenly fired from my academic positions, as if it were an academic assassination warned by the Club of Rome in the book. After this academic assassination, I lost almost all means to carry on my research to younger researchers, except writing a book. Fortunately, it was completed as Money and Macroeconomic Dynamics in 2013, and its Japanese edition in 2015. These books successfully unified 2 lessons of the Great Depression given by Keynes' general theory and Irving Fisher's 100% money. I strongly felt that my academic mission was fulfilled with with the publication of these 2 books. This is the end of my part 1 lectures. Now, let's begin with part 2, with stage 5, academic reselections and findings of money as debt. In 2015 and 17, I was invited to Turkey to offer ASD macroeconomic workshop in Ankara. From 2018, I was offered an academic position at the Social Sciences University of Ankara called ASB. I personally felt a spirit of openness and academic freedom on campus. This period in Turkey indeed became one of my true intellectual rebirths, as if my academic resurrection took place at ASB. I took this opportunity and I taught monetary theory using my own textbook, Money and Macroeconomic Dynamics. Graduate students were eager to understand the difference between debt money and public money. Their questions helped me refine monetary theories. Thanks to the discussions with students in the classroom, including Kaoru Yamaguchi, co-author of the recent book Public Money, I was able to complete the classification table of money. This became a starting point of paradigm shift research in economics. Money is classified according to this classification table by 2 criteria. By issuance, money is classified as public money of interest-free and debt money at interest. By fiat status, money is classified as legal tender, base money, and functional money, which used to be called credit. So I have no time to explain detail, but whenever you got lost in your study of money, I strongly recommend you to come back to this table. And I'll briefly show in the following seminar how to use this table to run simulations. Distinction between public money and debt money is essential for the deep understanding of money. Here is some example. These are American $5 bill, $5 note. But this United States note is issued as public money at interest free. Now you can see here, United States note. On the other hand, now you can see here, Federal Reserve Note. So except those two different letters, the design and other function are exactly the same. So this is a confusing point of understanding money. Money is rapidly becoming digital today. The above classification also applies to digital money. Public money such as government coins and note can be easily digitized as electronic public money, EPM. Meanwhile, central bank digital currency called CBDC is emerging slowly, yet it merely reproduces the existing banknote of debt money in digital form. So CBDC still remain as debt money. Out of this classification table, we obtained a surprise finding in macroeconomic monetary theories. Let me briefly discuss the result only. First of all, we found that M3 total money is almost equal to total debt. That means 99.7% of money stock in Japan are shown to be equal to total debt of private sector as well as government. So that's the first result. So line 1, money stock is equal to total debt. Secondly, private debt by the household, line 4, is shown to be equal to time deposit, line 3. So that's the second result. Thirdly, government debt is shown to be equal to money stock M1. M1 is the money used for our daily transactions. So those are the three amazing findings for the Japanese monetary state. Moreover, we found that GDP is highly correlated with private debt of households and firms. But GDP is not correlated with government debt and M1. So this finding is totally against the Keynesian theory of fiscal policy, because by simulating debt and M1, it cannot simulate GDP in Japan. Instead, then GDP can only be shown to be simulated by increasing private debt. That was the finding. So we did the same research for the American economy. So we almost found a similar monetary classification table and debt decomposition status in American economies. So this shows that our finding could be universally applicable to any macroeconomic data in the countries, in the world. Now, stage 6, paradigm shift in economics and science. Based on our classification of money and the above analysis, we have successfully summarized complicated monetary theory into the following 4 groups: public money theory, mainstream neoclassical theory, mainstream Keynesian exogenous debt money theory, and endogenous debt money theory. I named those 2 monetary theories mainstream because, as I show now, those 2 theories are false. First of all, neoclassical theory is not acceptable. It's a kind of fictions. So neoclassical theory comes from the general equilibrium in which only relative prices are determined in terms of commodity, such as gold and silver. This is Arrowed Blue models. So under such situations, any price becomes moneyless. So we can define money without money. If we introduce money, that only plays as a role of bail and shown to be neutral. So this is a neoclassical monetary theories. Blue, the founder of the general equilibrium, just mentioned in this way: no theory of money is offered And it is assumed that the economy works without the help of a good serving as medium of exchange. So he admitted there is no money playing an important role in economics. So that's why it's a fictitious monetary theory. Now let's discuss the mainstream Keynesian monetary theory. So mainstream Keynesian exogenous debt money theory assumes that only central banks control money stock, and banks are merely intermediaries of saving to lending. So that is, banks can only accept savings and make it as a loans. So that means banks are not creating money, just an intermediary. So this is the Keynesian monetary theory. This exogenous money theory failed to explain Great Depression and Japan's lost 30 years. But this Keynesian theory is shown to be false. So let me quickly show why this model fails to explain the most important economic event of Great Depression and Japan's lost 30 years. So from here, discussion becomes a little technical, but you can just neglect the technical point. So we take income or GDP on x-axis and take interest on y-axis. And this IS curve is a combination of equilibrium point in the real sector. On the other hand, LM curve is an equilibrium combination of monetary sectors. So according to the Keynesian theories, the recession could be triggered by spending hypothesis. That means by reducing consumption and investment. So in that case, spending hypothesis move along this LM curve. On the other hand, monetary hypothesis shows that the monetary change move along this IS curve. But the Great Depression shows that money supply, price, and interest are moved along these arrows. So I don't have time to discuss in detail. So that means to show the Great Depression in this phase diagram, C prime point have to be the Great Depression point. But as long as we stick to the Keynesian exogenous monetary theory of spending hypothesis theory, spending hypothesis and money hypothesis, most cannot describe this point. So that is why it is a false theory. Meanwhile, when we make assumption of endogenous money spending hypothesis, then we can easily attain from this point to this point by moving the first of all by introducing spending hypothesis, then money hypothesis. So that means only endogenous money theory can explain the Great Depression very successfully. In addition, also, the same endogenous money spending hypothesis can explain the Japan lost 30 years, which is described at this point, low interest rate and low GDP for the 30 years. We'll discuss this result by running simulation more in my following seminar. So now I have shown that both neoclassical monetary theory and Keynesian exogenous monetary theory are false. But you see, almost all Nobel winners in economics flocks among those monetary theories. Why most Nobel Prize economics flock here, even though I showed their monetary theory are wrong? In this puzzle in economics, no one can answer why they stick to these false monetary theories and receive Nobel Prize. So the answer was given by Rita, the author of Money and Sustainability Club Rome report. Let me quote this very important point. Dieter told the audience the following startling anecdote. Paul Krugman was a winner of Nobel Prize, and he belongs to this mainstream exogenous money groups. Paul Krugman told personally that I means Dieter, I was totally crazy to talk about the money issue. He said, have you not? We were both from MIT, okay? So Krugman and Dieter from MIT, Department of Economics. We got the same professor, right? And what he told me was, don't they tell you, never touch the money system, never touch the money system. You can touch everything else, never touch the money system. The reason is there. Rita pointing to one of the participants who had correctly pointed to the political nature of Nobel Prize in economics. You will not be invited to right places, and you can kiss goodbye or Nobel on anything else that is worthwhile getting. You are killing yourself academically if you touch monetary system. So that means if you touch public money or this endogenous monetary theory, then you are killing yourself academically. That is what Rita told in his speech. So isn't economics really a science? It seems to be a lost science because this is not attitude of scientists to find out the truth through social economic behaviors. I touched this public money issues. So 4 years before, after the leader's warning. So Zarenga, the author of the Raw Science of Money, also quote about the political nature of Nobel Prize. So you can read this one. So he pointed out the Alfred Nobel here are very critical of the current Nobel Prize in economics, saying that the vast majority of economics prizes have gone to the people who reflect the dominating Western view of the world. Western view of the world means those two monetary schools. So that's the reality of the political nature of the Nobel Prize in economics. So it's not a science at all. Now then, let us discuss why this is wrong, and we discuss a new solution. So according to the accounting system dynamics approach, this neoclassical exogenous money theory can be analyzed as a full approach. Meanwhile, endogenous monetary theory was analyzed as a stock approach. And in the paper, Head and Tail of Money Creation, and this is system design failures, we showed that both Keynesian exogenous money theory and endogenous money theory turned out to be head and tail of the same coin. So that means finally I have shown they are the same. They are talking about the same phenomena. This is one will be shown in my following seminar by using system dynamics model simulations. So now from our latest research in money, out of 4 monetary theories, 2 theories are shown to be false theory. So the remaining theory are only public money or debt money system as a same coin of head and tails. So finally, at the stage of 7, public money and multiple economy. So the question is whether we should choose debt money as usual, or we should move to public money. So I briefly summarize the nature of public money system and debt money system. 5時 Okay, 5時30. So I have some more time left. All right. So then in my following seminar, I'll discuss why then we have to move to the public money by running simulations. So this topic will be skipped until the next seminar. Okay. So from our recent research, now it turned out our choice have to be between public money and debt money. And our choice have to be, if my simulation model is correct, convince me that we should go to public money. So that means currently under debt money system, money is split into public money and debt money. So debt money have to be completely eliminated to the public money. So that means money have to be 100% public money. On the other hand, credit have to be also eliminated. That means all money have to be legal tender. So this is the nature of public money. So this is the current state of debt money. So this state of debt money create all inflation, financial instability, income inequality, all problems are caused by this debt money system, according to my simulation analysis. So recent archaeological finding traces Jomon civilization back to 15,000 BC, Jomon civilization. The Jomon civilization of Japan flourished for millennia without hierarchy or war. People lived in mura village peacefully and cooperatively. The Western civilization and Eastern civilization followed. Public money only appeared 600 BC in Lydia, current Turkey. And debt money only began to dominate our civilizations only last 300 years. Now, from this historical perspective, analysis shows that now we have to move to the new civilization. I call it Muratopia economies for world peace and sustainable future. So finally, let's finish. What is Muratopia economies? Muratopia economy. So our goal is to attain Muratopia economies. For the last 3 centuries, our civilization has been dominated by debt money system. That incessantly create opposing group called control opposition in a communist or left group, or the control opposition in the right group. And those control oppositions are forced to fight each other for the benefit of ruling class of globalism. That is the current situation. So we have to move to the Muratopia economy. So public money is top of the 4 pillars of Muratopia economy. So Muratopia economy consists of 4 pillars. Public money is the top. The remaining 3 pillars are self-managed business, free and labor-free market, and sustainability. So this completes our Muratopia economies. So as we conclude, the question is no longer if economic can change, but when. All topics discussed in this lecture today are included in our latest book, Public Money, the System Solutions to End National Debt Banking Crisis, Built-in Inflation and Control by CBDC. So I hope you show some interest and look for more detailed explanation by looking into our latest book. Okay, that's the end of my lecture. Thank you for your attention. Okay.